And now the 419 with Gretchen DeBacker, Matt Killam, and Kevin Mullen.
Welcome into the 419, powered by WGTE and presented by Wheatro Wealth Management. I'm Kevin Mullen.
Gretchen DeBacker.
Matt Killam.
Yeah, Matt's glasses are so dirty that I don't know how he's seeing out of them.
Gretchen, let me tell you something. I can see perfectly.
As you look the wrong direction. I appreciate that, like, the role that each of us play on the show is that Gretchen is sort of like the mom on the show, but you own it.
Yeah.
Like, you actually go out of your way to be our mom.
I don't think you need to genderize it. It's just caring.
Yeah.
It's just caring for other people that look stupid.
Yeah, that's the kind of mothering I'm accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Exactly.
Happy April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day.
And today is my Momo's 7th birthday.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the big day. So I got her
The
this
big
show.
07.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the big one.
Yeah.
This is what you got her for her birthday?
That's
is
right.
The shout out
yes,
on this
being
show?
away from her in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what she asked for all the mornings.
Oh my goodness. Did you guys, was April Fool's like a big thing growing up? Do you still celebrate in any way?
I remember teachers would try to do stuff at school, like little, but I don't remember anything specific. No, I don't remember it being that big of a day.
I'm not a pranker. I've never.
Yeah.
That just never. When my family doesn't like pull pranks on one another.
So
although Monroe is into it. My daughter has been working on several things.
That's
like
nice. She's workshopping a couple
I'm
things.
supposed to, yes, I'm not supposed to know this, but she has like a fake cast that I think I'll be seeing later today.
Oh my God.
So
That's
funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can never find the line
Yeah.
between like this is really good and this is too far.
Like you
And
pretend
so
someone's dead.
Last year, that's right. No, last year I pulled off what I thought was a fantastic April Fool's Day prank on social media.
Oh.
That I put up a post that after initially getting the news that I didn't get the job
I
as the
remember this.
announcer for the Tigers.
Yeah.
The guy they hired couldn't make it, and so I'm getting called up to the big leagues, and I will be announcing the Tigers game later
Yeah.
Yeah.
that day. The reason why that was a problem is, one, I was legitimately a finalist for that job.
Yeah, that's right.
There were like 5 or 6 of us invited to like try out, and so that was true. And I posted
And
about
people
that.
know you're an announcer.
That's right. And I've
Kevin,
done.
where did the 5 or 6? Out of curiosity, do you know the other individuals? Are they from all over?
Most of them were from the Detroit area.
Okay.
I think there was one that was like wildly out of state, and then I was coming obviously from Ohio.
Right.
So, and I knew when I left the audition that I didn't get it.
Oh.
Like it was as I was driving home, it finally clicked. Like, oh, that's what they wanted me to do, and I didn't do it. Got
shoot,
it.
okay.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
So anyway, so then fast forward, I don't get it. I posted, I don't get it. And then I announced that I do. Well, we're talking August of last year. I get a call from a friend, or a text that says, "I'm here. You sound great."
Oh no.
And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They were at the Tigers game, convinced it was me, and so excited to be there with me. And it instantly, the post went south in a hurry because it went from me like playing a joke to people commenting genuinely kind,
sweet things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
you've worked so hard,
That'll
you
teach
deserve
them not to
this.
do that again.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Your long estranged dad finally acknowledged you.
Yeah, I've said my
I love you, son.
My thought for this year was to post that I just got a message from UT that in keeping up with technology, they're replacing me with an AI announcer. And I think that would be funny.
Yeah.
But it
I
could
think we should
also,
announce that we're
100%
the new
do.
hosts of the Today Show.
no one's going to believe that.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's also today.
Oh.
So,
We start tomorrow.
yeah.
We're the host of the Tomorrow Show.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
right.
but
I love the host
today,
of the Tomorrow shows.
in addition to today being April Fool's Day,
Yes.
it is also Wellness Wednesday. Matt, what are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about, regrettably, I think something that affects everyone. We're talking about stress. So we've got As usual, some good friends from WorkSpring have brought some clinicians and some people to kind of talk about the central nervous system, what stress actually is, and probably some hacks.
What causes you stress?
You're talking. Your voice.
So
Your chair squeaking causes me.
Well, I didn't build the chair.
So we got Tyler Schwanz from DMB Coaching going to be joining us. He's a local chiropractor as well.
Yep.
So we'll talk to him about stress.
He's got a 9 and a 10-year-old, so he knows stress.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're joined by Tyler Schwanz with DMB Coaching, talking all things stress here on a Wellness Wednesday presented by WorkSpring. We'll be right back on the 419.
Support for the 419 comes from Witro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at witroadvisors.com.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.
Take WGTE with you, wherever, whenever, with the newly redesigned WGTE app. Watch our locally produced TV programming and your favorite PBS shows. Listen to FM 91 Live, stream our podcasts, and stay in touch with NPR News. Plus, get access to PBS Kids, great entertainment when you're on the go. All on demand in the palm of your hand. Download the WGTE app on the Apple App Store or Google Play today.
Welcome back into the 419. It's Wellness Wednesday presented by WorkSpring, and we're talking about stress. If you're feeling it, you're not alone. We're joined now by Tyler Schwanz with DMB Coaching. Tyler, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We have to start. I get everyone's name wrong at the start of the show. Am I saying that correctly?
You nailed it.
Tyler.
I'm impressed. Tyler.
Perfect. So let's just start. I know we've had a couple of folks. We had Casey on. We've also had Dr. Michael Brown on from DMB Coaching. But why don't you tell us, if folks aren't familiar, what is DMB Coaching?
Yeah, DMB Coaching is an organization that essentially at its root helps people live life being fully alive. The things that hold people back and allow them to live a life that is not what they're looking for. We do life coaching, we do corporate consulting, we do events, keynoting, things like that. And today I am here to talk about the dimension of health that we would say is more like relational or professional or physical. And oftentimes when DMB enters a space and they talk about a health topic, that's my purview. That's my jam.
Where it talks about how you sort of found your way to DMB Coaching. How did you meet Dr. Brown?
Yeah, Dr. Michael Brown. It was like through a friend of a friend. They were at a networking meeting, and they said, "This guy is just like you. You gotta meet this guy. You guys are meant to be brothers from another mother. It's like." So we sat down and talked, and I remember asking him like, Why'd you want to meet? Like, what do I have to potentially offer you? And he was literally just like, friendship. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Somebody said you were a cool dude, and I want to be friends with you. And from there, it's
and
like,
how disappointed has he been?
It's very disappointing. Very disappointing. I have nothing to offer.
But we should be friends.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I was very impressed because oftentimes in like business world, it's like, what does this person want from me, need from me? What can be gained?
Sure.
And genuinely, he was just like, no, like, I need nothing. I just heard that you were a cool dude and I want to be friends. And it's been that way for probably about the past 10 years we've been friends.
10 years. How about that?
So serious question, when you're talking with your wife about him, some story, whether it's work related or not, is it Mike? Is it Michael, or is it always
Or DMB?
Dr. Michael Brown?
Always 100% DMB. I would feel very uncomfortable if I ever called him anything, especially not Mike.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just curious. Like there's a few friends that I have that I always refer to as first and last name.
Yeah.
Kevin always calls me Mr. Killam.
Really?
Yeah, based on my demanding it.
The Duke is the other one. Yeah.
That's right.
From that one night.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
Talk about where are you from?
I'm from Waterville. Grew up, went to Anthony Wayne High School, and moved down to Columbus for a brief stint at The Ohio State University, where I got my undergrad, and then moved down to Marietta, Georgia for my doctorate work for my grad school. at a place legitimately called Life University.
Okay.
My dad's a chiropractor as well, and his undergrad was at Hope College in Michigan, and then he went to Life University. So his education sounds totally messed up on a CV.
Yeah.
It's just Hope and then Life. But yeah, I went to Life University and then came back, and then my dad and I and another partner, we together own a chiropractic office locally.
Well, we're talking something specifically today about stress. I don't know if there is a season for stress. There certainly isn't in my life. It's full 365. But can you walk us through a little bit about what stress means to the body?
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. You said it best, is like stress is 365.
Yeah.
Like it seems like it's never ending. And the long and short of it is that we're not dying like because of these big traumatic events. At least most of us are not. We're dying from 10,000 stressful, low-grade stressful days in a row from which we cannot recover. So I feel very strongly that if we can get control over adding moments of recovery into our days, into our weeks, into our months, that can have a greater impact on our overall health than these huge Herculean efforts to try to eliminate stress in order for us to be able to live longer and improve our longevity.
So you can't, go ahead.
Talk to me a little bit about what recovery means in this sense, and what a win looks like.
Yeah. Recovery, simply put, if we're talking about it through the lens of the central nervous system, means that our nervous system is broken down into two parts. We have the part called the sympathetic nervous system and the complementary part called the parasympathetic nervous system. And simply put, it's the fight or flight part of your nervous system and the rest and digest.
Okay.
And those two parts cannot be dominant at the same time. So if you are stuck in stress mode, stuck in that fight or flight mode, it's been said that you cannot be in emergency mode and healing mode at the same time. Okay. So to answer your question, recovery is shifting from fight or flight into rest and digest, into that parasympathetic nervous system, so that your body can actually take a moment, feel safe, and be allowed to recover.
And again, this might absolutely display my ignorance, which is not an unusual occurrence on this show. But can you walk us through hacks? Is the only way that's in my head to ask this, and of course, this is an important enough thing for that to feel inappropriate. But what are some of the processes or hacks that get you into recovery mode? And then again, how do you know that recovery, you've reached it?
How do you know?
What's that feeling?
When you know, you know. You just know, you know.
Yeah, they'll call them the best guy in the business for nothing.
So we have moved from a society that is very physical. We've traded physical stress for mental and emotional stress. It's like it never turns off.
Yes.
It's like we're being like psychologically hunted but never physically chased. And so being able to drop into that moment where our inner nervous system feels safe enough to be able to relax. I will say that if there are listeners, viewers that are hoping to gain some that's a good takeaway. If you sit at a desk all the time, for example, you're basically sort of imitating being in almost like a fetal position.
Sure.
And your nervous system does not know the difference between, say, hypothetically, your ancestor was hiding from a predator down in low grass, was down in that fetal position. That's a very nerve-wracking position. And now we've traded that for this. Your nervous system still thinks I'm hiding from a predator, even though you may not be doing so. So a good hack, to use your word, or a good strategy would be to straighten up, would be to open up your lungs, open up your chest cavity to be able to even get as big as possible, almost imitating like, there's no predators around, I can lounge back, I can be at ease, like acting like that actually puts your nervous system in that place. So posture is a really good one.
Yeah.
I would say another really good and easy way to do that immediately is to take control of your breath.
Okay.
So your respiratory system is interesting because you can control your breathing, but it's also sort of automatic. You don't think about it, so it's automatic, but you can also control it. Most organs aren't like that. Like you can't control your stomach to digest food. It's like only automatic.
You sure can.
So you can you can pierce into the veil of your nervous system by getting into your breathing. So one way is called box breathing, is what it's often talked about. So you inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. And you can do that on repeat, and that it has a calming effect. There's also another breathing trick called, it's called a inspiratory like pause. So if you breathe all the way in and then breathe just a little bit more, that physiological sigh allows your nervous system to calm down for just a moment, and that's just by expanding your lungs all the way.
I know we've asked this of other guests, but like, I mean, is stress something that we can like avoid? I mean, is it like, are there things that we can do to eliminate stress from our life entirely?
I think you know the answer to that. And aside from living life in a bubble, I do think
Where are
that
these bubbles?
I do think yes, bubbles. You do. You can't avoid stress. It's just a part of life, and to a certain degree, stress is important. Stress used to save our lives. If we mistook a rock for a bear, we survived because of it. We didn't survive because we mistook a bear for a rock. You know, if we were overly stressed out, it actually was a protective mechanism, but it's changed from a protective mechanism to the thing that is killing us.
It's
very,
like mistaking
very slowly.
doing a show with two presumptive friends 5 days a week. That seemed like a good idea. And now I feel like it's taking time off my life.
Every day. It's just
it's a mistake.
Single
you can't get
day.
these mornings back.
Imagine us having to be with you.
Saving your lives.
That's
your
right.
words.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
right.
What about?
I'm like the extra breath of air in your lungs.
I was going to ask you,
I feel like I'm breathing in a box when we're near you.
We're talking with Tyler Schwanz with DMB Coaching here on a Wellness Wednesday, presented by WorkSpring. I'm trying to get us back on the
What
road.
That was a legitimate thing I said.
Kids and stress, and how can you talk to your kids about what they may be feeling, and how do you know if it's just a normal like nervousness or a little bit of panic, and truly like being living in a stressful way?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. I've heard it said that you should prepare the child for the road, not the road for the child. Meaning that if we are to eliminate all stress from the pathway of our children, they're not going to be prepared for life. They're going to be scared all the time of literally everything. But if we can prepare them, expose them to microdoses of stress in a safe way, I've talked to my wife and said that I like our kids to do things that are dangerous, but in a safe way. Because I want them to feel what it feels like to be nervous. But how do I talk to my own kids about stress? I have told them that, do you ever have that feeling where your heart is racing and your palms get sweaty and you just feel like you're a little bit out of control? And they're like, yeah, I feel like that. Well, how would you describe that? And they're like, it sounds like nervous. So I help them reframe that, because I say, you know what else feels like your heart is racing and you're breathing shallowly and your palms are sweaty? Is excitement. So if you can kind of help them just change the frame, so every time they feel that physiological response, they aren't like, ooh, I feel nervous to do this group project and talk in front of my class. It's like, maybe I'm just excited because I'm going to slay this report in front of my class. And I try to raise boys. You mentioned I do have 2 young boys. And
what are their names?
Elliot and Holden.
Oh, cool.
And I'm amazed by them on a daily basis. But yeah, their ability to speak in front of their peers has always amazed me. And I do think that is primarily because of how we have reframed the stress response to be like, I might be excited, and I'm going to lean into that.
What about kids and adults? And so many people, I do it too, use technology or your phone as a pretend, or thinking that that's relaxing us, or that that's de-stressing us. What is your opinion on that? Is that something that can be used as sort of downtime or as relaxing time if you're just on your phone?
So it is a huge mistake to think that technology in that sense is relaxing. It is stimulating the brain at a very subconscious level. to the point where if you can think of sleep as like the most ultimate form of relaxation, this is almost like the antithesis of that. It's like anti-sleep. If sleep is relaxing at the deepest part of your brains with the deepest brain waves, like this is the exact opposite, where it is creating the brain waves that are most mimicking like absolute alertness. You've probably heard of dopamine mentioned before.
We sure have.
Absolutely, probably by every
We love it.
We love dopamine here.
We're real
this
big
filled with
on
dopamine?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not.
Again, dopamine used to be a really great protective mechanism, because when we ate something that was good, we would get a dopamine burst. If we ate sugar, we would get a dopamine burst. And again, sugar was really important to survival at one point in time, but now that it is in abundance, it is not, and dopamine is not necessarily a good signal of whether or not something is good for us.
Tread lightly, Tyler. We're sponsored by Little Debbie's Treats.
This is going to be awesome.
I mean,
That's right.
so I rationally get like that you're saying that, you know, technology is not a stress relief, but it is like it feels like it is, right? I mean, it feels like, so it doesn't feel like my mind is racing when I'm doom scrolling Instagram or
You're
Facebook.
calling it doom scrolling.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. Like that's the act. But like, I mean, what are the things that we can do that provide that same immediate break from chaos, reality, stress, whatever it may be, that give us that same dopamine rush
For sure.
without overstimulating the brain?
Yeah, I think you said it best, is that it feels like relaxation, but if we can delineate a difference between feeling and function, or I apologize for the rhyme, but like how you feel and how you heal, there is a difference between those two and what stimulates one and what stimulates the other. So I mentioned the breathing, I mentioned the posture. Most of the time today, since we are living in a sedentary society, if you are serving as a conduit for all of the stress that you're exposed to, and if you're not releasing it, you are storing it. And every cell of your body is sort of like a bit of memory or RAM or a node that can be used to store that stress. And sometimes people are like, oh, I feel like I store my stress right here. And they might think that that's like not real, but it's actually literally what is happening. Your body is storing the memory of that stress right up, in whatever tissue it chooses. So if you can work on your breathing, you can work on your posture, you can exercise and move your body, you're no longer storing that stress, you are releasing that stress. And then finally, being a chiropractor, I work on the nervous system. I check people's nervous systems to see their patterns of stress. And when we deliver a simple chiropractic adjustment, we move them from the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system that allows their body to heal better rather than just feel better.
And you can feel that in your patients, your clients' bodies when they come to you, where their stress is stored.
I have instruments that allow me to identify where that stress is stored. It's not so much like I can feel where your stress is, but I do have instruments that help me with that to be able to deliver an appropriate adjustment. But they can certainly feel it after they get adjusted. Yeah.
April is Stress Awareness Month, and so we appreciate you helping us kick this off, Tyler.
Thanks for
with
having me.
DMB Coaching. When we come back, we're joined by Lauren Calkins, a senior wellness consultant with WorkSpring here, and we'll talk about how stress shows up in the workplace and some of the things that we or you can do about it. We'll be right back here on the 419.
To me, community means connecting to others.
I'm Donnie Miller, and welcome to The Point.
We're a community committed to education. Discover new ideas, dive into exciting subjects, and engage with the world around you.
I would send them personally a t-shirt. Crime doesn't pay in the old West End, pass it on. That's how we cleaned up the neighborhood.
Vision loss for people is not the end.
It's a story, it's the next chapter.
WGTE Public Media invites you to Get Out and Play Day.
Monday through Friday, it's the 419 powered by WGTE. With Matt Killam, Gretchen DeBacker, I'm Kevin Mullen. What can people expect on the show?
It's going to be an hour, a reminder of why this is a great place to live, work, and play.
WGTE, where you come to watch, listen, and learn.
Welcome back into the 419. It's a Wellness Wednesday presented by WorkSpring. We're joined now by Senior Wellness Consultant Lauren Calkins. Lauren, thank you so much for welcome back to the show.
Welcome back.
Yes, thanks for having me back.
Repeat guests are always, I feel like it's a good thing that you're willing to come back.
She knows how to deal with stress, though.
Yeah, we didn't provide enough stress for you to say, or you're just so good at handling it, you're like, yeah, we'll be fine.
Thanks, guys. I'm happy to be back.
Talk to us again, folks aren't familiar, who is WorkSpring?
Yeah, WorkSpring, we are based out of downtown Toledo now. Our office is downtown, and we service organizations all over the state of Ohio, Southeast Michigan, on their HR needs. So we have our HR training support. I'm on the wellness side of things, so that's where my role is at WorkSpring. But we just help organizations to help their employees be their best. So that's what we do.
And it is Stress Awareness Month, so we are glad to have you on. Tyler was on just before you and kind of teed you up on a few things. And I know that you were in studio when he was talking. Stress is unavoidable, right? And WorkSpring is just such a leader in this field, so I am interested in talking about an employer's responsibility in this space. If you don't mind adding on a little bit what Tyler said on the personal end, we described them probably inappropriately as hacks, but some of the methodology of dealing with the inevitable stress. What can you do in this?
Yeah, no, I love what he shared too, and just to kind of piggyback off of that as well too. I think on the other side of things, just knowing your why. I think I mentioned that the last time I was here, just knowing your purpose. Why do I get up in the morning, do what I do? And I think that relates to this very well too. So the chronic stress, the things that we can control, that's where we come in, right? There are things that we can't control. Stress is going to be part of life. We need it, of course, but the things that we can control, maybe we can hone in a little bit more on those things. So deciding, does this serve the purpose of my why? Is this actually benefiting me or what I am trying to accomplish? Or if it doesn't, maybe it's time to get it off the schedule. Maybe it's time to get it off the list.
Tyler talked about technology and it being the antithesis of relaxation, sleep, restoration, but it's also unavoidable in the workplace. So how do we handle that?
It is. Obviously, it's 2026. We're using our computers. We're using email. We're getting phone calls.
This is on a 2-year delay, this show.
Okay.
So it's 2028.
2028 pigeon.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're all going to be immersed in it. There's no turning back. There's no looking back. However, we do need to decide, how's this tech working for me?
Yeah.
And if it's working for me, great. And if there are pieces to it that aren't working for me, we're the humans. We're the adults. We get to decide, we don't need this. We don't need this part. So as we were talking about doom scrolling, it's a choice, right? But it was designed in the way to have us to keep doing this. So it's a tough one. So near and dear to my heart, I have kids as well, tween kids, where it's like, you start looking at the age of phones and can they have social media, and it's like, I feel like I'm going to hold out as long as I possibly can for them to not have access, because the data's there.
Kids?
12 and 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're right in
They're begging right now probably for them, right?
Well, they have the Apple Watches.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a good,
Buying some time.
I'm buying time,
Yes,
and I'm
ma'am.
hoping that we'll buy time for like a long time.
Sure.
But
Until they move out.
until they move out, obviously. When you turn 18, we'll see.
Yeah, we can talk then. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to hold out as long as possible because we know what the data says, right? But I'm an adult who also does this though too, because we got our phones, and it just, how did this happen? It feels like it happened overnight, right?
Yes,
so,
it does.
So I put limits on myself. I've deleted, I don't have most social media, and I've deleted, a lot of things, and I've also put like limitations on my phone too, so it'll turn off.
Lauren, this might be
smart.
This might be an unfair question, but it does feel to me that we also are sort of compelled to, the old idiom about tonguing the sore in your mouth. Like, why do we also feel somewhat compelled to lean into stress? Like, is there? And again, if this is an unfair question, it'll certainly display my ignorance. But we do appear to also seek it to some degree. Is that a fair statement or an accurate statement?
I think it can be for some people. I think it's stimulation.
Sure.
It's like you were talking about dopamine earlier. Like, we don't want boredom, and so we want novelty, and we want new, and we want to be in the know. And there's FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. So we want to be in the know, and we want to just
we want to live an exciting life too, but I don't want to necessarily live someone else's life. I want to live my life and have my own exciting experiences rather than seeing everyone else's exciting experiences. So I try to reframe it that way too. And
what are some signs in yourself or at work that you know that you've crossed into the unhealthy stress, where it's not a motivator to like get you up and get you to work and do a good job, but it's too much, and it's a problem either for yourself or for your job.
Yeah, I can
start dressing like a 5th grade teacher.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Say all the time.
I do all the time.
No, not you. That's her. You're
He's
wonderful.
talking about me.
Yeah.
That's a great de-stressor there.
Our show is sponsored by Ums and Ands.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
They
nice.
love it.
It's like the modern day Sesame Street.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. A horribly disfigured character other than Gretchen.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry,
We're
Lauren.
nailing it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I can speak for myself on this for sure. I think your goals for the day have to be reasonable. We've all heard this from time to time, like there aren't priorities, there's the priority. Like eat the frog, have you all heard of this phrase?
Yes.
So it's like there's that one
Kevin
thing.
accidentally last week said lick the frog.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I don't know that
right.
that was an accident.
Lick the
I've been
frog.
saying it for years. I thought that was the right phrase. But
That
then,
caused me stress because I don't want to lick a frog. Now it's eat, I get it.
I don't want to do either.
Yeah.
But if I have to do it, I want to get it over with.
Right.
So that the rest of my day isn't spent in dread and anticipation of like, oh, I don't want to do this, and then I'll just I'll do all the other things before I do. We're all guilty of that,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So that ebbs
100%.
and flows. So let's be honest about it. But I like to have my organized list of like, this is what must be done, and then maybe I have 3 other top priorities. If I get these 3 things done, I feel like a success for the day. And I'll tell myself that at the beginning of the day. So everything else is gravy.
Right.
But the momentum is cool because you start that and then you're like, well, now I can do this, and then I can do this and this. It's the getting started that's the hardest part. That's for me. But I think a lot of people are like that as well too. So if my to-do list is this long, it's so daunting and overwhelming. I don't even know where to start, and you're frazzled. You don't even start your day off right too. So I need something to be impactful, what contributes to my why, my purpose. Everything goes back to that too. So if it's something that doesn't fulfill that need, maybe it's getting booted. Maybe it's getting booted altogether. So, we don't get time back. Time is finite, so let's make it count.
I heard that, again, that this is such a complex thing, right, in a multitude of ways. Some of it is that we're not necessarily that evolved of a species, or not as evolved as we lay claim to. But Lauren, are there simple things? Somebody was telling me the other day that they made their bed when they got up specifically so they could cross something off their list when they start. Are there simple things to start and maybe end your day that you can give us privy to or entry into that work, or at least worth the attempt?
Yeah, I like that, the making the bed. I think for the longest time I was not a bed maker, but I like it because it does, it's like I just did something early that's already a great thing, and it visually makes me feel calmer. So anything that I can do that is towards like whatever the goal is for the day, align my day with those things. So like time blocking, things like that too, but also kicking off the things that aren't towards that goal. So I know I've said that again, but so it's boundaries, setting up boundaries with others, but also setting up boundaries with myself too, award myself with things after I've completed, X, Y, Z tasks or whatever. But as far as like practical tips, the dings and bings of text, phone calls, emails, all of those things, if you're head down into a project, you want to focus and really be able to have that creative thought and get something done. I don't want to hear dings and bings. It's distracting. It's the squirrel off in the distance. So everything's silenced for me. And I might turn it back on once I'm done with that thing, but I'm going to give myself that room to do that. I didn't agree to 24/7 dings and bings and everyone trying
having
to
access to you.
Yes.
Right,
yeah. So I want to do some meaningful work, and I can't get that done if I'm constantly dinged and bing. That's just one piece.
I remember when I first got email on my phone saying it was my employer got me a phone that would have email on it. And I remember saying at the time, for every reason why you want me to have this, I don't want to have it.
Sure.
And I wish I could get rid of email from the phone, get rid of social media, get rid of all of it. It feels like a necessary evil in the workplace. It becomes all consuming. Are there workshops that WorkSpring offers? Are there online kind of courses or things? I'm a big professional development person, so I nerd out on those books and I like that, but I generally go after like hard skill things. Learn this new skill, learn this new software system or something. But like in terms of managing stress, in terms of, you know, keeping technology in the right place, what's out there?
Yeah, I love it. This is perfect. We do all sorts of trainings with WorkSpring, you know, on the HR front, but specifically our one new training that we have is digital detox. And I love it. I feel like it's my baby. It's just so near and dear to my heart. But basically the premise is making, you know, tech work for you. I don't work for tech. Tech needs to work for me. So talking practical tips on, you know, it's not shaming us about, you know, we're shaming one another. I think when we talk about the doom scrolling sometimes, everyone's addicted or this, but it's like, again, it was designed that way. You know, we're all just kind of using the tools. But we do have a choice that we can back off, and it can be difficult. And I think acknowledging that it's difficult is step one. It's not easy. If it was easy, we'd all be off of it, right?
Sure.
But in our digital detox session, we'll talk about how you can arrange your home screen so that the distractions that you don't want to be seeing are not there for you. You know, we talked about dings and bings, so notifications and unsubscribing from email newsletters and things that you don't want to be a part of anymore, but it's like removing your credit card from shopping sites, right? So instead of one click, like ding, it's at my house in 2 days, maybe I want to sleep on it. Do I really want this? Do I want this object cluttering up my house? I'd love to talk about minimalism and decluttering all day, every day. I'll save that for another time, but I think doing things like that so that you keep the priorities in front of your face, I think is really important. So we'll talk about those in the digital detox discussion.
We've got to have you back for decluttering.
There is zero chance that you and I spend more time together and you don't just instantly start judging every moment of my life. I feel like that was
That's
directed.
true of anyone who meets
specific.
you.
It's true.
Yeah. No,
but the related things to scrolling on your phone, which we think is relaxing, but then it's all set up now. I mean, it's just become worse and worse, but it's all set up now to get you to buy stuff. All these people that are making videos. I mean, I do it all the time. And you go immediately go to this, gets to the shop app. You don't have to put in anything. 5 seconds later, and then you get this box of junk that you don't need.
Little House on the Prairie school farm.
Right.
That's what brought this outfit here
but
today.
then that adds more stress because then you're like, why did I buy that? I didn't need that. Now I have to find a place for it. Now and then you feel bad having to throw it away or whatever. It's just a compounding
Your bins of
problem.
shoes, Gretchen.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I moved one of them.
Yeah.
I thought that I was part of a crime, and there was a body.
I was robbing a shoe store.
Yeah, I have a friend who moved out to Los Angeles. He owns a production company, or did, and left that and teaches yoga full time. And honestly, one of the very first things he did was declutter and minimalize the stuff he had around him. And
it does make you feel better.
I believe it. And you think you need all that stuff. I mean, getting rid of objects is complex, but right you feel guilty. It was a gift. It was I'm gonna need it someday, but you don't need it, right? And I think to transition out, Lauren, we always rely on WorkSpring to talk to us a bit about the responsibility employers have to their employees in this way. We talked about it on the personal level. It is a lot to ask, and we talk about boundaries, and this is such a needle to thread here. But what is the employer's responsibility in this space?
I think it's a great question. It's an important question because it impacts your employees' well-being, but also productivity, right?
Yes, certainly.
So, you know, it's a win-win when you can allow your employees to work in the way that they work best. So, you know, and it depends on your industry, right? If you take phone calls, your customer service, you're going to get phone calls. You don't get to turn off the dings and bings for some things, right? So, but having a balance with it and being able to work in the way that you work best so you can serve your company, serve your clients, or whatever's in your industry, but in a way where you're not feeling so overwhelmed and just constantly, because that's a recipe for burning out fast.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a win-win for the organization if you can kind of allow employees to work in the way, that they work best. So open dialogue, always.
Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We got to have you back.
Thank you.
There's so many more topics
for
us to cover. We appreciate you being here and joining us on a Wellness Wednesday, presented by WorkSpring. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Darren Moore here on the 419, powered by WGTE.
Support for the 419 comes from Witro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at witroadvisors.com.
Destination Toledo. Whether you're a local or a visitor, Destination Toledo invites you to explore the region and be a tourist in Toledo. Find events, dining, and things to do at visittoledo.org.
WorkSpring. HR issues and employee well-being go hand in hand. WorkSpring supports employers through compliance, training, and wellness because healthy workplaces don't happen by accidents. Learn more at workspring.org.
Toledo Refining Company, a subsidiary of PDF Energy. Toledo Refining Company is a supplier of fuels that keep our region moving. Located in Oregon, Ohio, the refinery processes crude oil into gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and other petroleum products.
And TARTA, celebrating its 55th year of connecting Northwest Ohioans to their community. More information at tarta.com.
Happy April Fool's Day. Welcome back into the 419. No fooling. We've got another great guest on the show.
This is my guest, and in full candor, a dear friend who I've known for just a short amount of time, actually. We were able to cross paths.
That's why he's still friends with you.
That's right, and this probably will be the last day. So celebrating Darren, Darren Moore. Darren, I asked you to come on for a couple of reasons, one of which I do think you embody the spirit of this show. This show is about our community, right, in our region, and about others. You've become a bit of a de facto conversation starter about economic development, but you are an entrepreneur on a molecular level. And the unusual Matt Killam ask, I'm going to start not at the beginning of who you are and where you're from, but talk to us a little bit about the conversation that I feel like that you've been championing about our region's economic growth and who we can be or who we should aspire to be.
Yeah, so first off, thanks for having me on. It's a blessing. Thanks, you guys. So the conversation that we've started, and I think I started it because I was really, watching in the printed media, on the radio, TV, and I started to see these indications that Toledo, the current thought leaders we have, and when I mean Toledo, I mean like the core of Toledo, not the surrounding, sort of production area. There's a conversation started around what are we going to be for the next 100 years? And if you look at the history of Toledo, you have the industrialization, which created the families in the industries that last till today. And then you have this interim period between what I would call the 1960s to 80s to about 10 years ago. And then you have the heavy investment into downtown, really what I would say setting the table, where I like to use the putting the rocket ship on the launch pad.
Love it.
Shout out to UT. And really, now we're at a stage where it says, okay, guys, what are we going to do for the next 100 years? How do we get this rocket off the launch pad? Where do we want to go directionally? And it really started in December of 2025. I started seeing editorials and these thought pieces. And, I mostly work outside this region for my income and my business, but have been heavily involved for some time. And so I said, okay, let's start to put into words what I think a lot of people are thinking. And so from there, it started with an editorial in the Blade, and then a few podcasts and things like that. And again, you just listen. There's a big excitement in Toledo right now. And so I think part of it is just putting it into words. I think we're past the belly button gazing of what we could do better and yada yada. We know who we are, but now it's about where do we go for the next 100 years.
What makes you qualified to start these conversations or push this narrative?
Sure. So I think two things make me uniquely qualified. Number one, I listen. I'm surrounded by really smart people, and
not this morning.
No, well, it depends. But so I'm listening a lot. Number one. Number two, most of my life has been spent outside this region in emerging markets, in fast developing markets. Both in the United States and around the world, primarily Africa, Latin America. So when I see these little nuggets of, hey, you start to see the energy, you start to see the bubble, you want to harness that and you want to identify it. And then number three, I guess, is Gretchen and I, we worked on the Human Relations Commission together. I have been involved in Toledo since 2018, deeply. I've held a few positions within the business community and the social community as well that allow me to have an inside look on things. I think a unique look from the inside out. And I could say that we are really poised for the next 100 years and where we're going.
Who do you have to have on the same page to make the vision happen? Who has to agree on what the vision is? Who are the people or institutions or parties that have to be on board?
You know, that's a tough one. I mean, because that is something I believe we face uniquely here in Toledo. That's a question that gets asked a lot. How do we get everybody on the same page? You know, how do we get those particular institutions or organizations that really either control capital, control thought, things like that, or push thought onto the constituency?
Mm-hmm.
I believe we have to just align around, a few things. Young people want to start families and own houses and have a bright economic future. I think we also need to align around this idea that leadership needs to look at the next 50 years, not the next 5 months. Mm-hmm. Things like that, because leadership isn't there to keep the trains running on time. The leadership is there to support the people in the economy well before they know they need support. Mm-hmm. And so I think broadly speaking, if you take a step back and you look in all the publications, you're sort of seeing this already. As to the permissions, there's no blockers, I would say, in our economy, right? I don't think anybody's going to get in the way per se. There's a lot of ego, obviously, in a lot of this stuff. There's legacy. And so you need to acknowledge that those people, those institutions, those folks were part of what got us here in a good way. And, in your intent to move it forward, don't step on that. Don't, minimize that contribution, which we tend to do sometimes.
We're talking with Darren Moore here on the 419. I'm curious your thoughts on what's something that we've really screwed up and what's something that, needs to happen, right? As you look at the steps, what's the first big step that's going to have you go, all right, we got it?
So my father-in-law says something. He says, never make a mistake that you can't come back from, right? I don't think we've done any of that. We've not screwed up to a place where, oh man, we're not going to be able to walk that back. What I do think we've lost sight of, perhaps, is, in the harshest of terms, capitalism. What it means to grow wealth and become better from a financial and a stability standpoint from your community. Mm-hmm. I think that, Toledoans and the Toledo economy is probably over-reliant on non-GDP creating activities. We have to create GDP. Essentially, we have to export our products, our brain trust, our people to the world, bring that income here and reinvest it. I think that's one thing. What I would like to see done better is we've invested a lot from a capital expenditure standpoint, right? Matt, you and the team led the investment in the parks. We've got a lot of downtown investment. Our downtown is beautiful right now. I would love to see leadership in our donor community and our business community pivot to investments in operators, investments in people that generate income, which then, as we know, can be reinvested into our capital, into our infrastructure to keep it pretty. We have a lot of beautiful infrastructure, but we have to pay for it in the long run.
I'm also curious, Darren, one thing that can certainly be a detriment to not just cities, regions, institutions, is complacency. Mm-hmm. Why does this matter? And why does it matter to you personally? You have I want to talk a little bit now about your family. You're not from here. You came here. You moved back here with your beautiful wife and family. Mm-hmm. Why does this matter?
I think Toledo represents the best that America has to offer. And I think that it matters to me because at some point in life, you want to find somewhere where you put roots down. But really, me personally, I've been making economies and places better around the world for going on 2.5 decades, right? First in the military, then the private sector. So for me, I take it very personal because number one, it's the right thing to do. It's your own backyard. Number two, the people are beautiful people. They're smart. They're committed. People say you're going to have no more loyal person than a Toledoan. Mm-hmm. In fact, when I listen to parents, older parents, the most painful story I hear is when their newly graduated or early career son or daughter moves away for an opportunity. And then I take it personal because I think the things that we need to do aren't as daunting as sometimes it's made out to be. And in an economy in a place like ours, you can actually get them done.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of places in the United States and around the world where if you wanted to get something done, it's very difficult.
That's right.
But here, you know, 1 or 2 phone calls away, you're going to be at the right person.
That's well stated. Absolutely.
I noticed throughout this interview you've used the word leaders, and you have not once sort of directly acknowledged government officials and political leaders. Is there a separation there? Is there a responsibility there? Or is there a reason why you're more broadly talking about leaders in a broader sense?
Well, I think no area can be attributed to one woman or one man or one position or not. I think again, you know, I've worked with the HRC in the most underserved communities in our area with the highest potential and highest upside, and at the same time, I'm also in those good old boy circles that happen to be at those country clubs and front row of the Solheim and so on and so forth. So I think for all socioeconomic, all, you know, sort of demographics within our economy and our community, leadership means different things.
Sure. Spiritual
leaders included in the church. I don't think. I mean, look, there's a handful of political leaders, not the mayor, nobody like that, but there are people that are problematic to some degree. Challenges with Columbus and those relationships that are critical that you have to maintain have been degraded over time. But I don't think there's, you know, one person that's at fault or one particular group that's at fault. I would love to see more empowering of the economic development department at the city. Brandon has, tremendous individual, huge potential, and he's getting a lot done. I would love to see some more resources put there. But overall, I think we're on the right track, and it's hard for me to hold one person accountable.
When you talk about the potential of the city or the region, what's the thing? What's the one thing, if you could pick one, that you would do or try to get incorporated first?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing I would like to do is we have this, what I would say, you say colloquially in the industry, like old line manufacturing. Sort of we're manufacturing for an economy and a product set that is not necessarily yesteryear, but it's growing at maybe 3 to 5% per year, right? But now we have these new sectors that are growing very fast. So think of like unmanned systems, aerospace, advanced compute, including AI in the data centers. We have capability right here in our economy to not just hard pivot, but maybe soft pivot into these new exciting sectors. It's going to do a number of things. It's going to increase the revenue of these companies because they're tapping on sectors that are high growth versus not stagnant, but sort of, I don't know if anybody's driven a Chinese car, but like, it's going to be tough for us. We have to catch up fast. But it's also going to be, it's going to increase income for those households, which will help the downtown. We need to increase the household income. But third, I think most important, it's going to give a reason for young people to stay.
Yeah.
You know, you hear this over and over, the brain drain situation, right? In the shrinking population. We need to get into things that are attractive and exciting. And attractive and exciting on a national level and international level, where people say, man, those people in Toledo are onto something. This is a new Toledo.
We're talking with Darren Moore here on the 419, powered by WGTE. It's now time for Gretchen's Wacky Quiz.
Darren,
I'm going to ask you 4 rapid fire.
It's okay.
Just get used to it. I'm going to ask you 4 rapid fire questions. Gretchen's asking for your favorite thing in or about Toledo, and then you and Matt will describe Toledo in exactly 9 words. Question number 1, what's the worst job you've ever had?
The worst job, bagging at Giant Eagle.
All right.
If you could be any flavor of ice cream, which flavor would you be?
Vanilla, because I add any flavor, I'm okay. I'm on top.
Okay.
Yep.
What were the last 2 books that you read?
Oh gosh, the Secret History of the World, and then On Grand Strategy.
Okay.
We've been talking about stress all day, so this is a fitting question to wrap up my 4. What do you do to unwind after a hard day?
Call Matt. Call Matt.
And we both eat vanilla ice cream together.
Yeah, eat vanilla ice
If you want to feel better about yourself,
guys eat
if you want to feel better about yourself, call Matt Killam.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that. What's your number one most favorite thing, or what you consider to be the best thing about the city of Toledo or the region?
The people, for sure. The
Okay,
hangout.
I heard you say Metro
absolutely.
Parks. Great.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry, Metro Parks.
9 words, you and me, brother.
Best backyard I have.
That's right. All right. So the people, I'm going to give you one right off the rip now. We've got 8 more. Describe the city or region in 8 words.
Potential.
Potential. Love it. Good start. People, potential. Keep going.
Weather.
Weather. Yep. All 4 seasons are a big plus.
It's a
Love
good thing.
Yep.
Water.
Water. Yes. Okay. We're halfway home.
Low cost of living. That's one word.
Cost of living. We love it. I'm going to give you 2 for that one. We've got 3 left.
Let's see.
You're a community person. I'm writing community down for you.
I think community.
100%.
Community is solid. Yeah, absolutely.
And the networking portion of it. You mentioned something important. One of the best things about being in a medium to small town is you're 2 phone calls away, usually away from help or support.
Yes.
We get that. And what's your beautiful wife's name?
Yasmin.
Yasmin. That's your 9, brother.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Darren Moore, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate being on the program. When we
Thank
come
you for
back,
having me.
we will wrap up this Wellness Wednesday edition of the 419.
You laughed with us. You learned with us.
Hi, neighbor.
We made sure your childhood was special. Memories that could only be provided by PBS. For generations, we've given you programs that made a difference. Programs that entertained, informed, and inspired. And today is no different. This is WGTE Public Media in Toledo. It's where you belong.
Introducing The Local Thread, a community news series uniting voices and storytellers from across the region. In partnership with La Prensa, the Toledo Free Press, the Sojourner's Truth, Toledo Public Schools, and Rethinking Jails and Justice. The Local Thread brings you stories and conversations that connect our community. Hear it weeknights at 7 on FM 91 with early access on podcast platforms each morning. The Local Thread, only on WGTE.
Welcome back into the 419 as we wrap up a Wellness Wednesday edition of the 419, presented by WorkSpring. You come into a day where we're going to talk about stress, and I admittedly had a bit of fear that it was like, all right, I'm going to end up like high anxiety and not enjoying it. But it was a wonderful conversation. A couple of great people, Tyler Schwanz with DMB Coaching, Lauren Calkins with WorkSpring, a senior wellness consultant there at WorkSpring. And then I had never met Darren before.
I didn't know that.
I know I've seen him or we've been in rooms
Sure.
together, but I legitimately don't know anything about him. And so this was an enjoyable conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. He cares about this for all the right reasons. Again, you didn't hear any accusatory language in there. We will have to figure this all out together, right? There's not a silver bullet either. And I think it's also really vulnerable to go out and say, hey, I think we should think about this differently, because you're immediately going to get naysayers or people throwing whatever. And the reality is that he's not from here. He and Yasmin moved back here, and they want to stay here and make it the best place for their kids to stay and work. I think it's not a unique story or a lament to hear people say, yeah, I have a young graduate, and they are moving to some other place, and it's just not on the radar to stay here.
I've always said I simultaneously want to do everything I can to make sure that any opportunity my kids want to have, they can find here in Toledo.
Sure.
But I also want to create a system where they can go anywhere they want to find it, right?
Yeah,
and so I
that's very
simultaneously want them to be able to go. But what can I do to make sure that all those opportunities exist here in Northwest Ohio? Darren is an entrepreneur, but it sounds like as he was walking out, his daughter is also an entrepreneur.
Yes, she has you can go to Instagram. She makes hair clips, so you can go to Game Day Clips on Instagram and buy some of her clips.
That's right.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to get that for my daughter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep,
And for our audience, this is Rita's niece, so they're Rita Mansour, so they come by naturally.
Last Friday's surprise guest.
Yep.
So I love it all comes back together.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
7 a.m. on YouTube, 3 p.m. on FM 91, and 6 p.m. on WGTE Connects channel 30.4. It's the 419, powered by WGTE and presented by Witro Wealth Management.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.